All right, guys, today we got a special guest in the house, man. He been through a lot in his life, but his art definitely speaks for itself. He doing positive things in the community, a brother from the nation. I'm talking about the one and only Blame FX. What's good with you, bro? How you doing today, man?
I'm feeling grateful, very grateful, my brother. Thank you.
Oh, man, I'm happy to have you here today. So you're familiar with the platform, right?
Right.
Right. Okay. So I like to start at the beginning so we can get the whole story and help people understand who you are. So where were you born?
Okay. I was born right here in Yonkers, New York. Yonkers native since the beginning, born and raised.
And did you grow up with any siblings?
Yeah, I actually got a ton of siblings, some of my father's side, some of my mother's side. You know, shout out to both of them.
You grew up like in the middle or like the youngest or oldest?
I'm actually the youngest out of all my siblings, you know what I mean? So
wow. So the youngest.
Very independent, yeah.
What did your parents do for work?
What was that?
What did your parents do for work while you were growing up?
Well, I didn't really grow up with my pops like that. He came in later on in my life, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe when I was maybe like 13, 14 years old, early teens. My mom, she worked like whatever she could get her hands on. So I remember her working in a factory. My bad, she was working in a factory, you know what I'm saying, when we was younger. She worked in a health clinic, you know, like a neighborhood health clinic for a bunch of years. And yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Nothing special about my upbringing.
Can you turn it up a little bit? Because it's cutting off your head a little bit. Yeah, there we
Like
go. Okay.
Good?
Yeah. So your mom was working like just all sorts of jobs and your dad wasn't really around until you became a teenager.
Fact. So, you know, my mom, she held it down until my pops came in every now. He made cameos. He was never really involved in anything we had going on. You know what I'm saying? He was battling his own demons, going through whatever he was going through. So, you know, my mom held it down. My mom was pretty much my mother and my father growing up. You feel me?
So did you ever, at a young age, were you asking your mom, like, yo, where's my dad at and stuff? Or?
Certain times, like, I would hear stories about my father. Like, my father was crazy. Like, anything I heard about my pops was always involving like a knife or something. You know what I mean? Like, yo, he went to stab somebody up the block and, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. I never heard anything, you know what I'm saying, like anything significant that really stuck with me that, you know, helped mold me or anything like that. Because, you know, so I had a lot of men in my life. Like, I had my older brother. I had all my uncles. I got a big family. You know what I'm saying? So what my father didn't do in my life, my uncles made up for. My older brother, you know what I'm saying, my older cousins made up for. You know what I'm saying? So I learned a lot from them.
So you had other strong male role models in your life when your dad wasn't around at that time?
Absolutely. Particularly my Uncle AZ raised me. You know what I'm saying? This is my mother's little brother. You know what I mean? So he's like the OG of my block. You know what I mean? Like with the projects we came from, my Uncle AZ was the man out there. You know what I mean? So, you know, he had the crack spot right here where my mother lived at. Everybody worked for him. Everybody was jealous of him. He was the first one on the block with a drop top Beamer, the 17s when they first came out. You know what I mean? So my uncle raised me. You know what I'm saying? I come from a lineage of gangsters. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in my family, in more ways than others, was involved in the street life. You know what I mean? And that's how I was raised, basically.
So then, not only is your uncle and other members, but your father was in the street life too?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my father was, I don't know if you ever heard of the Ñeta, but my father was a Ñeta growing up. Like, he was like deeply involved in the gang lifestyle himself. So, you know, he was going through whatever he was going through. You know, I don't blame him, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we didn't need him. You know what I mean? I want to make that like crystal clear. Like, my mom and the family that I had on my mother's side really, really, you know what I'm saying, molded me into the young man that I am now. You know what I'm saying? So.
But you didn't feel any form of resentment growing up, though, that he wasn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. There was times where I'd be like, yo, how come he chose to be more with my siblings from my father's side? I used to be like, yo, how come he chose more to be with them and not with us? Like, what was it about them that he chose to be more with them than with us? You know what I'm saying? And even my siblings from my father's side will be like, nigga, you ain't missed out on nothing. Excuse me, you know what I'm saying? So they're like, nigga, you ain't missed out on shit.
So it was something that you kind of like had to like process over time and like really get to understand.
Well, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, as I got older and I got more, you know what I'm saying, entrenched in the street life and in gang life, I really didn't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, whether that nigga was here or not, I really don't care, you know what I'm saying? Because I had my moms. You know what I'm saying? And oftentimes I blame my mom for a lot of shit, but looking back on my mother's, you know what I'm saying, journey, we got this family that came from Puerto Rico that moved to New York City with nothing, you know what I'm saying? She didn't have no real formal education, you know what I'm saying? I bet she had like a basic education. We was living on the edge of the poverty line, you know what I mean? And she still had food in our mouth. She was 5 kids, you know what I'm saying? So I got three sisters and a brother from my mother's side. So coming where she came from, you know what I'm saying, from Puerto Rico not having shit, to New York not having shit, you know what I mean? So, you know, like I said, living on the edge of the poverty line, she was able to provide a home. We always had a roof over our heads. We always had clothes on our back, and we always had food in our mouths. That's something to celebrate.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I'm saying?
success.
But before I you know what I mean? Before I used to like, wow, I didn't have the Jordans. Why I didn't have the Ava Rexes? Why I didn't have this? But what I did have and what my mother was able to provide was unbelievable. For the deck of cards that was dealt to her, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think that a lot of times we as minorities don't always understand the difficulty of leaving your home, right? Your home country or where you were born, having to come to
Absolutely.
a new place, having to learn the language, make something of ourselves in that way. And I think that, you know, as children of our parents, sometimes we can be critical of them growing up until you start to really become, you know, a man, a person of understanding of like what they really had to go through in order to even provide that life for you.
Absolutely. Well, there's another crazy fact about my mom's side of the family. My mother is one out of 16 kids.
Wow.
So she had 7 sisters and 8 brothers. It was 8 boys and 8 girls.
Same parents?
You know what I'm saying? Same parents.
Wow. That's
you know, there wasn't no TVs back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's crazy. I come from a big family.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So what I went without with my father, like whatever my father wasn't able to do for me, my uncles did for me, and my older cousins and my brothers that I looked up to. Like the main people I looked up, the main male figures I looked up to in my life was my brother Luisito, my uncle Az, my uncle Rob, my uncles. You know what I'm saying? That were like younger. You know what I mean? That was, you know what I'm saying, in the street, holding shit down, especially in my neighborhood. You know, my family was very popular because it was a lot of us. You know what I'm saying? So we was like one of the only Spanish families in the project that everybody had love for us. So there was some few haters here now and then when my uncle had to knock a few niggas out every now and then. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, even me, you know what I'm saying, getting it on in the neighborhood and all that growing pains, like, you know, regular shit that we go through, you know what I mean? But for the most part, everybody had love for us.